Right, welcome back everybody, and this is part 2 of the Vanera-a-thon. I'm sure that this will not be the last we're hearing of Vanera. Vanera's preview is looking really good, and if I dare, check out Wotv Ultima, which is a website that I absolutely despise nowadays because of its incessant advertisements that are all over the screen. Thanks a lot for that. 9.8 out of 10. Pretty good character. Yeah. Not a 9.9. Does, at least not yet, without seeing that new vision card and potentially winter character and New Year's character to see how that'll shift things. I think that we're doing pretty well. Now, talking about the testing today. Let's take a look. This is looking really strong as of this moment. If you look at her in this particular party composition, yes, she does have the Hermes sandals, but she does have a support skill that would essentially replace the Hermes sandals, so we're not too worried about that. Taking a look at, well, I guess a character that might be somewhat similar is this character, because essentially he's being used in Riku evade comps. So if we're looking at evasion, you know, with a similar, somewhat similar equipment, I think that she shows off quite well. We're looking at about 83 evade, which our other resident evasion character here that was being used previously, Sephiroth, you know, about 68, which is fine, not bad, but I think it's pretty close to what Vanera looks like. A little bit somewhere between Riku and that. But I think her attack stat looks great. This looks great. And her evasion stat, for not having any evasion-based vision cards, like we have this one, which is attack up and spirit and speed, which is all, well, I've used the word great too many times, so I'll cut it out of this one. But attack up here, as well as they really focused on doing DPS with this one. Either way, let's test. Wait as the game loads in. But I'm pretty uninterested in actually testing this one because short of having the character, it's a little bit difficult to get the idea of how good this character will be beyond essentially what we previewed, because the preview essentially tells you a lot. That she's fast, that she's quick, her AP costs are really low, and then we're just gonna get into stuff like this, where we're getting evade single target off of certain sources, we're getting a lot of damage protection, and that'll be interesting to see how far she gets. Now, I'm not going to cast this on anybody else because I just want to keep it on her. But we're going to keep moving towards our goal of getting barriers up, picking up that treasure chest, because we're not fools. We are not fools. We want everything. Put all those nice barriers up and everything. Dark Veritas is here for, I don't know, flavor or something. And we're almost at the point where we finally get to start. We don't have to worry about buffing anymore. We can start attacking. And don't forget that Trust Mastery actually activating its luck up skill might be something we do this time, since it is, you know, pertinent towards evasion. But let's just get through. See all these nice things. And we'll skip Dark Veritas' turn. He's fine. He's fine. Trust me, I asked him. He's okay. He's not going to be too worried about it. Alright, now, we've done a lot of stuff, so let's first fire off a attack here, and boy oh boy, that is most definitely an early result, where if you take a look at the damage that's being done here, it's a lot, but you can see that that hit percentage is a factor here. It's already starting to drop. Ashen Mont is a character that you would expect to have a lot of advantage versus a character like this. Yes, the DPS is most definitely there. If you can build a character with enough accuracy, you can potentially put up good amounts of damage against Vinera. Of course, with higher HP from Trust Mastery sources and other sources of buffing, a lot of this will help, and her re-raise shouldn't be discounted either, as it can essentially potentially provide her a bit of a chance to survive. So yes, we can see Ashen Mont doing great stuff here. Let's try a magic-based damage. Much more resistance. Frostbite is potentially a problem and would be a little bit scary, as it would limit Vanera to what she's able to do. But fire off a few more attacks. You can see that with these AoEs as opposed to single, she is starting to be quite a bit more damage resistant, which is scary, because not only do you have to pass the accuracy check, you do actually have to pass the killing her check. So a little bit scary, but okay. We can also see that fluctuating accuracy rate. And now it's her turn. So looking at Limit Burst. Now, I know what you're thinking. This doesn't seem that impressive, but her Limit Burst is a Dispel Protect and decrease critical resistance. It's not the ability that is going to be dealing the most damage. So, I mean, this is fine, and I'm not too terribly worried about it dealing middling damage, because it's not really the thing you're probably looking to be opening on your opponents with, especially after they have cast barriers and whatnot. So, I think we should use, let's try this one. Now, a couple points of note here. First off, this is the defense and AoE resistant shred. It's also decreasing CT for targets, 25% chance to stun, and decreasing chain resistance. So there's a bunch of things here that we are casting. We can see that it's still not affecting Gilgamesh because of his HP barrier, and we're not dispelling that as of yet. But 58% chance of stun is giving us an idea of potentially how good her stun accuracy could be. 40% here and 0% against Ashen Mont, who does have some stun resistance. Next ability I want to check just really quickly is her Poison and Doom, because it seemed like pretty neat here against Gilgamesh. 36% chance of doom, so a third of the time you're going to doom him. 73% of the time going to poison. If we run up, check a few other characters. 25 and 50, so a little bit more flat rated. 30% doom and 60% poison. So we basically looking at about double the chance of poison as we are of doom. Not terribly surprising, but is nice to see the values on paper. And then jumping all the way down to her barrier breaker. Well, okay, this poor positioning, I guess, on me. Let's move one over. We can see we're getting through that, and a 36% chance to stun this character, and 30% chance. However, interestingly, the evasion that we have on Sephiroth here, only a 5% chance, 46% chance to get hit on the reverse. Let's give it a shot. Alright, we did land it. We didn't hit Sephiroth, which isn't that surprising, as he does have a, is a little bit built for evade. Just jumping over here to look at Sephiroth again. Evasion is 68. So let's pass a bunch of turns. And let's give a little bit of a luck boost to Vanera, and then try firing off some shots against her. 10% chance from this guy. However, we want to see a previously used character. For instance, Gilgamesh, Now down to 75% chance from his limit burst. If we look here at this other AoE, 75% chance. Ashimont may be a bit scary. Yeah, it's helped a little bit. Building this character specifically more towards evasion will definitely be good. Here we can see 45% chance of dealing about 9,000 damage. Not enough to kill. 46% chance of a counter pack. Hit accuracy at 80% and 981 damage. So we'll just fire it off. You can see some things are triggering. I mean, here's the thing. I do think Vanera's DPS is actually better than being shown here. It is, in the right parties, going to be pretty nasty. Once you appropriately build her with evasion equipment, you'll be able to just chip away at opponents. I think that the status effects here are quite nasty, and especially in PvP situations. Without stun resistance, she has just a high amount of opportunities to stun. She can get through a bunch of other physical damage, and I think once you include other lightning-based damage characters that are quite strong in AoE, they're going to benefit off of this character quite well. Her movement is also incredibly high and very, very flexible to allow her to get around and kill opponents as she is needed. I think also there's some cool stuff here with Doom and Poison being really, really good. But you know, it's not just me. I'm looking at a lot of the feedback that other people have been saying already. Lightning Slasher with high evasion, good high firepower, immunity to pure sure hit. Can aim at CT down with stun to basically knock down opponents' turns. Stun has high effects once you have basically triggered her support-based skills, which she was going to do anyway. A lot of abnormal status effects and subsequent attacks with barrier destruction and haste cancellation, which is a lot of stuff that you want right now. So I think that this character will do quite well for herself on both evasion teams and lightning damage based teams. And I don't think there's really too much else to say. Maybe a few of her weaknesses. I mean, her DPS with some of these characters can be a little bit low, but I think the status effects make up for it. And I do think that offensively, she will want some other characters to potentially bolster her own capabilities, or other evasion characters to potentially buff her evasion to make sure that she is as hard to hit as possible. Anyway, that's all for this test. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll keep you updated with details on this character as they become more apparent. Later.